Sergeant 1911 here. Welcome to today's video. We're going to talk about something I got going on. It's a work in process. Stay with me. Okay everybody, Sergeant 1911 here today. Before we get started, I want to make sure and ask everybody to subscribe if you have not. I really do appreciate it. If you just want to try it out for a little while, we can do that on the channel here. Click subscribe, get some notifications with the ringy ding. You see us out there on some other platforms, and then decide what you want to do. I think you'll have fun. We're having fun. Make sure, guys, and go out and click on sgt1911.com. That's our website. Now, I'm not asking you to give me money. What I'm asking you to do is buy something from Sergeant 1911. That's right. You're going to give me a little bit of something. I'm going to give you a little bit of something that helps me do a whole lot more here at the channel. Okay? So, let's get started. What we're talking about is a work in process. Old Sergeant 1911 loves his 1911s, and I've got one that's somewhat complete. It's in construction still. I'm going to talk about it. I think it's ready to go out and see if we can make it work, but I'm just going to go over it with you just a little bit. There it is, 1911. Now, this thing, I bought most of the parts at Sarco Inc. It's a company that used to be in New Jersey, but for obvious reasons, they moved over in Pennsylvania. I'll put a link down to you. Their site down at the bottom. And what you can do there, you can buy parts kits. Everybody's familiar with them. I buy 1911 parts kits. I believe maybe the frame is probably a para-ordnance, but there's no stamp on it. You go buy your frame. You have to have your frame shipped to FFL. The rest of the parts come to your mailbox, and what you got to do is sit down at your workbench and you come up with the idea of what you want your personalized 1911 to be, and you start putting it together. And here we're just going to take a little quick look at what I've got so far. You'll notice this is just a plain GI model. Look at the front sights. There's nothing fancy there. Just staked in. Rear sights, they're not adjustable. Look at that old hammer, nothing real special there. The back strap safety does not have a big bump on it. The beaver tail is always so-so. It does have a skeletonized trigger, and I'll tell you why I did that. You know, it's got the magazine release. All works good. We're going to take it outside and look at it, but I want to show you one thing that's kind of interesting. Look at these pistol grips that come with it. These are used. These things come out of a military arms room, and this thing was, someone had pistol gripped this as to be number 3, I think, on this side, or something else on this side. So these are used pistol grips, and that's okay. Now, one of the things that I want to talk to you about is the slide on this thing. Get it back. You'll see it does have a nice opening, and it has been cut back there. So it's a GI model, which is just plain Jane fancy to start with. And when you get this kit, this is not the trigger you get with the kit. You get just a regular GI trigger. I put the skeletonized trigger on it. I could change the hammer if I wanted to. But when I change that hammer, I have to be careful, because if I get the wrong hammer, it will not come back because this beaver tail gets in the way. I would have to change the beaver tail to make sure that the hammer sets down inside the beaver tail. So you got to be careful when you start customizing here. You can get you a nice fancy skeletonized hammer, but then you will pull back and it will not fit into the beaver tail. We got a problem. Now, one thing I did do on this one was change the safety. You'll see this safety sticks out a little bit. It's a little bit oversized there, right there. Now, from my experience, most of the time, the safety on a 1911 is probably the most difficult item to fit. Now, we could do a lot more of this, and I'm trying to figure out a creative way to do it, because YouTube, you know, they kind of give you strikes and warnings and yank, 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 yank when you do too much on there. About the only thing I can do with this thing on YouTube and not get at least get a warning is take the magazine out. But I've got some ideas I may try later and try to work through on how we can actually help each other build a custom pistol, like fitting the safety, fitting the hammer, fitting the safety, you know, fitting the trigger. One of the things we'll talk about, like with these safeties, if you'll notice, for the 1911 to work, I gotta have the safety off, and this little piece right here, that safety, it should not fire when I pull the trigger. Even though the safety's off and the hammer's back, when I push this in, it fires. So we know that's good. Now, if this was not fit correctly, if that safety wouldn't fit correctly and there's a little spring in there, it would fire even with it being in a safe mode. So, you know, what we're going to do today, I've got it all put together. I've function checked it where it seems to work, at least inside the hideout here. But before we go outside and do something, I want to take a break real quick and make a change to it. That I probably could get away with on YouTube, but like I said, I've already had a warning, so I don't want to be risking it. So give me just a second while we turn off the camera, and then I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to make a quick change and then show you something else. Okay, now before we go any further, I want to make sure and point out a few things that's pretty important. A lot of you guys and gals have built your own AR-15s, you know, built your own Devil Child. A 1911 pistol is considerably different, and what I mean is you just don't snap together like Legos. You know, one that has already been assembled, yeah, you can put it together like Legos. But most 1911s, you're going to have to get you a file and some sandpaper. I would never use a Dremel, but you're going to have to fit and hand fit some of the parts. That safety needs to be fitted. You're going to need to polish the feed ramp. You're going to have to polish the triggers. Things have burrs on them. You're going to have to remove burrs, and you're going to have to get it together, and you know, maybe the safety don't work. You're going to have to pull it apart, put it back together, file it, polish it. These things can take a considerable amount of time. You can build several ARs in the length of time that builds you one 1911 pistol. Now, I get most of my parts, not all of them, at least I buy the kit at that Sarco place, and I can buy a frame and a complete parts kit, or I can buy basically a complete 1911 for about 330 bucks shipped. You know, you're not going to buy one downtown but for that. It's cheaper to build your own, and in my experience, in my opinion, at least I get the satisfaction of going, I built this. Those are my file marks that I had to remove with my sandpaper, and I really enjoy it. But like I said, you'll see that, you know, this thing comes with like used pistol grips. Now that's about the only used parts you're going to get. You're not getting used parts, but you are getting used pistol grips. And why they do that, I have no idea. These are military surplus. But one of the things I wanted to do, and I'm going to read it just to make sure. I've got a subscriber out there who, he couldn't hit it at a right time. You know, right time. That shows my southern redneck, right? You couldn't hit it at a better time. I was just starting to do a pistol build myself. So, oh, be careful with that word build. YouTube will hear that in their algorithm and stop me. I was just starting to do my own 1911. You hear my sarcasm. And Browne Works. Now I'm going to read it. Mark Brown, Browne Works in Pasadena, Maryland, sent me a message. This guy makes 1911 pistol grips, probably makes other things, but he was generous enough to offer me a free set of these grips just because he was having some fun. And I'm going to show you these pistol grips and you'll see why he had some fun. These are African rosewood, and he's customized them, and I put them on there during our short break. And look at this side right here. He has scavenged the logo off of my website and stuff and come up with this pistol grip to go on my custom 1911 pistol. So now I'm going to turn around and look at this one. This is old Sergeant 1911 going bang, bang, bang. You know, Mark, I think, buddy, you did an excellent job. I'm very, very, very grateful and thankful that you sent these to me. I think these couldn't have been better to go on my homegrown 1911. I mean, versus this. I mean, come on, guys. Look at the difference in this pistol grip. Look at the difference in these pistol grips. I mean, this versus this, now it's starting to look like a custom 1911. You know, you guys who have been with the channel for some time, you know in Sergeant 1911, I've said it many times, a handgun's more of a defensive item. It's a defensive weapon. I tend to use it in an offensive manner. Maybe we'll do a video on that someday, but it's a defensive weapon. You know, I think it's time for me to take a little break. I'm all stuffed up with a head cold, and let's just get past all this. I want to get outside and see if we can have some fun with it. I'm going to see if it does work for all practical purposes. We've never fired it. We just got it put together. It should work. If safety check's fine, I think it'll go bang. So it's a nice sunshiny day out there. Let's go. Let's go outside. It's like the pistol grip says. Let's make it go. Bang, bang, bang. Okay, gang, we're outside the hideout. We're going to try this pistol build I'm working on. You know, before I get started, I need to make sure to tell you guys, when you build these things, I've built, I don't know, I can't keep up. I don't know how many I've built, but there's two things that's probably going to happen on every one you build. You're going to have a problem somewhere that's going to frustrate you and maybe even piss you off, and you just need to walk away from it and come back another day. Now, it could be that it's the trigger. It could be that it ends up being the sear. A lot of times it's the safety. You think you got it all together and you go do a safety check and it fails a safety check. The safety back here is not working, or it's not engaging here, or it's disengaging when it shouldn't. You know, I've had one that would run fully automatic. I mean, you pull the trigger and it would just rock and roll and empty. And it's just, like I said, they're not a Lego kit like an AR. These things have to be hand fitted. The other problem you're going to have is once you do get one and you get it complete, and you buddies are around, or you go to the range, or you're out doing whatever, and you pull this thing out of game thing, and the buddy's going to look at your custom. He said, "Where'd you get that?" And you're going to say, "I built it myself." And he goes, "Ooh, will you build me one?" So that's going to be your second problem. All your buddies are going to want one. It's like you're the only guy with a cooler full of Bud Light. They're all going to gather around. So anyway, what we're going to do, like I said, this one is still work in process, but we're getting there. The one thing I know we need some work on is the trigger is heavy on it. It's going to be over 5 pounds right now. But I'm going to just make sure that it works, and I'm going to take it all apart, and then I'm going to start making fine-tuning adjustments. So let me put my hearing protection on. And we'll load it up, and we'll shoot a couple magazines if it shoots right, and we'll go from there. Here we go. So far, so good. Slide did not lock back. I'm hoping that's just a magazine. We'll try it on a couple of different ones and see. I suspect it is, as that magazine is really having a difficult problem coming out. Let me lock the slide back. Yeah, the magazine is stuck in there. There it goes. I think that's going to be a bad magazine. Let's try this one. In and out good enough. Put the hearing protection back on. Again, the slide didn't lock back. We may have something we need to work on, but I'm not convinced yet. And almost always that's going to be a magazine problem. You can see how this drags out a little slower. That's not going to be anything other than just natural drag. Look at the side of this magazine where it's rubbed. This thing obviously rubs on any 1911 that it goes in, and that's why the polish is rubbing off of it there. Uh-oh, there's a failure. Did not extract, did then. You know, some of it could be magazine or ammo related. Now, I'm gonna stop right here and let me show you. I need to reseat that bullet in there correctly, or it will not feed right. Lock back. So it's not the handgun, it is the magazine. Try another magazine. Now this one here, let's try this magazine. Fed well. Did not extract. Pull this magazine, lock this slide back. Did it again. Let's see this magazine. Got a few rounds left in it. Did not lock back. You know, it ran empty. I think what we got so far is I'm pretty pleased with. I mean, first time the weapon's been fired, put together. Everything is tight. It needs to be fired. I need to take it apart, polish it, fine tune it, get that hammer closer under that 5 pound mark, get it closer to 4 where I like it to be. You know, one thing I can tell you right now, thanks to Browne Works, it's a good looking handgun. I mean, this is not going to be a beater. And when I mean beater, you guys know what I mean. It gets kicked around in the floorboard of the truck. It's going to be a nice handgun. I mean, I'm liking it right now. Anyway, guys, I wanted to bring it out and show you what I've been working on my bench. Shoot me a line. Tell me what you think. Think where you might think I could improve it. I mean, I know some sights would be nicer on it, but, you know, I think Browne sent me the pistol grips, and that sure did improve the way it looks. And I just love this side of it. You guys gonna get a kick out of this side. Oh, sorry, 1911 mug. But I just love this side of it. I think that really sets it off. It shoots, it's shooting. We got a little problem. I think it's mostly magazine related and Tula ammo. It's just a new weapon that needs polished. I'm having fun with it. You guys all need to get out and have fun. So until we get to shoot again, shoot safe, shoot straight. Hooah.